you?
I've been.
I'm gonna rub it in
Look,
flannel.
I dented it, actually.
I'm gonna wrap it in flannel.
That was just for Todd because he's new.
Did you crack it?
No, I might have cracked it. All right. Welcome, everybody, on our last official meeting, unless we call an emergency meeting before the end of the year, which everybody's shaking their head no. So, welcome to our Christmas meeting, and we'll call it. I see there's some red here. I've got my Christmas tie on. But as best we are, we're going to be. What?
Brian was saying he's just blue.
Oh, he's blue, yeah. He's blue. Okay, well, anyways. So I'll call it to order and disclosure any peculiar interest under the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act. Have you going?
Yes, item
yes.
10C11.
And C11. Right on.
I don't know who codes these.
Yeah, but that's good, yeah. Okay. Anything else? Nope. Okay. Minutes of the previous meeting. There's a motion here somewhere in there. Moved by Councillor Dirksen, second by Councillor Caldwell. The minutes of December 1st, 2015 council meeting being approved. All in favor? Carried. Okay. Additional items as disclosed. Other business. Anybody got anything besides IPM? Oh, what?
I imagine we all have.
Okay. Well, whatever. Yeah, I imagine you all have. Yeah. Okay, whatever. Okay. I'll put you down all.
Sure.
Okay, that's it. Moved by Deputy Mayor Faulkner, second by Councilor Turton. The town of Minto convenes the committee of the whole. All in favor? Great.
Waterfall.
No public meeting, no delegations, no public. Well, we have a public question period. No public question. Correspondence received for information regarding requiring direction of council. Everybody had a chance to review those. Note from Carmen there. Good news on the North Wellington Care Corporation Groves Memorial. I think that's a good news story. Thank you for. I know a few people in the room have worked on that, so appreciate all the hard work that you've done over a period of time on that.
Minto's low.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, motion to accept. Deputy Mayor Faulkner, Councillor Turton, all in favor? Thank you. Committee meeting minutes for receipt, Saugeen, and that's the Drinking Water Source Protection Committee. Any tough questions? We have the man that's on that committee here can answer them for you, Councillor Turton.
I'm not on that committee.
Aren't you?
There's a lot of gobbledygook there that you don't even know what they're talking about. It's kind of hidden.
Yeah. It'll all come to light. Motion to accept that. Councillor Turton, Councillor Dirksen, all in favor? She's looking at her.
I think
she's sleeping there. Cultural roundtable minutes, and we have Belinda here to.
Are we there already?
We're there already. We're moving right along here.
And I'll try and be brief with these minutes because I know
brief but thorough.
Brief but thorough, yes, of course. So really quickly, just our volunteer portal. We've soft launched that on the Treasures of Minto website. So if you're on there, you can see where that is going to be. We'll be working in the new year with the 6 groups that came forward as wanting to be pilots. So that's the Clifford Rotary, Clifford Hort Society, Minto Arts Council, the Northern Theatre, IPM, and the Hairston Minto Egg Society. So we'll be working with them on coming up with their job descriptions for the positions they need to be filled, and then showing them how to post those onto the portal and helping to fill those positions. We're hoping to be working with the Guelph Wellington Volunteer Center to offer some volunteer management type training. So basically how to recruit volunteers, how to retain volunteers, and looking at running a series of workshops hands-on to help our volunteer groups out with that. And also looking at partnering with Wellington North Cultural Roundtable to deliver the programming at this end of the county. You're all at Light Up the Town and Ladies Night, so we won't discuss that. Our Treasures of Minto website is showing good improvement on its numbers over last year. We have quite a few people coming to the site and from other communities as well. And we've made some changes in terms of directing more people to that for things like concerts in the park, Songwriters Challenge, Ladies Night. So Wellington North actually wants us to come and talk to them about how we were able to do that, and they can try and do the same. And then one of the things that we're looking at in the new year is working with Gregory Smiths, who was the presenter at our volunteer appreciation night, on doing a session for youth called Flipping the Iceberg, and it's an interactive session about them building and discovering some of their skills. So again, looking at partnering with our neighbors on hosting something like that in the new year. That's kind of the highlights from Culture Roundtable. If anyone
Questions?
has any questions? Okay, excellent. So I'll just go right on to Economic Development Planning Committee. That was last Thursday, and we had a very busy, full meeting. We did a tour of the Old Post, so if you haven't been in there, it's pretty amazing how much work they've accomplished in a short period of time. And I know Michael and Stephen are always giving tours, so pop in there and check it out if you haven't already.
Can't believe they're opening January 3rd.
Mm-hmm.
It's unbelievable, yeah.
Yeah,
They're working their duff off.
yeah, it's pretty cool. So that's where we had our meeting. We held it there. Anyway, we're getting some progress on our Palmerston Industrial Park sign. We have a meeting tomorrow with Mr. Jennings, who owns the property across from the Palmerston Industrial Park. So we'll see where that goes. At the last meeting, I reported that fiber was installed in the industrial park. That was incorrect. The locates were finished and they were installing the conduit, but not the actual fiber. So the fiber is going in early spring, and all of the businesses have been contacted that were in the industrial park. And they've all signed up except for Esso and Tim Hortons. I think they have it through a different venue. Our certified site, our PIN number is at the Land Registry Office in Guelph still. Our mapping is almost completed, thanks to Paul at the County of Wellington for doing all that stuff. And the survey is going to be pretty easy to switch. All that was due December 22nd. It's a pretty tight timeline, so we've been in touch with the ministry about extending that. It doesn't seem to be a problem, so we'll be expecting some paperwork to come back.
Don't tell
just to
anybody that we're
extend
extending it other than ourselves, right? Oh, now we just did.
I just did. It's quite all right. We may in fact have it completed, but just in case, I wanted to make them aware that it's going to be a tight turnaround, so not to have to stress over that. Downtown update, our Harrison Downtown Group has decided they want to partner with the Old Post on a public space for next year for our capital project. And at our last Palmerston meeting, CAO White and Treasurer Duff were there updating a large contingent of Palmerston business people, which was great to see, on what the tax sale process is and updating on what's going on with that building on the corner. And Gordon and I met with that property owner last week, and things are progressing there, so that's nice to see. Happy to report that we have completed and inputted all of our 47 business retention expansion surveys, so that is wonderful. And then the meat of what I want to talk about is our community improvement grants. So as you're all aware, we had a new process this year. We went through all that, added a whole bunch of more money to our program, and we've had great response. So for 2015, we had a remaining budget of approximately $39,000 and change. It's on the second page here. And I gave you an updated copy, and I gotta grab mine. Okay.
Mayor
so-
Bridge, if anybody's looking at the screens, those figures include HST,
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
and the figures Belinda will give you are net.
Yeah, these are the proper ones. We had to redo some recalculations. So
Oh, because we're not giving them the HST
Yeah.
to get them back.
yes, that's correct. So the remaining budget that we had in our CIP was $39,869.47. So applications that came in were for a facade grant for South Street Cafe, a facade grant for the Old Post, and it's on a corner, so it actually qualifies for 2 facades. And then we had a structural grant for the Old Post. So you can see the amount that the person is spending on the construction and then the amount requested. So the total of that is actually $44,405.03, which is obviously higher than what we have left in the budget. But because our department has been operating short-staffed for the last 7 months, we've saved some money. So our committee felt that it was, these were all great projects and we want to support them all. So for 2015, a recommendation came forward to support all of those projects. And then in 2016, so there's a recommendation in there for that. Then for 2016 funds, so we had some people submit applications now, but they haven't started the work yet. So that money, when they submit their invoices, would be coming out 2016. So Ron Weber actually owns the Coach House building in Palmerston, if you're familiar with that building on William Street. So that's a facade project totaling $8,000, which qualifies for the full $3,000. Brett Young is right now in the Master Feeds building. Down by Spear Seeds, and they're looking at moving to the Agrotrend building in Clifford and totally refacing and doing a lot of work on that property, which is great news. Yeah.
Where did you say he was in Harrison?
Master Seeds, beside Spear Seeds.
Right beside Sears Speeds. You know where
Master
we line
Turf
up for the
building.
parade?
I always thought that was
William
part of
Street?
Spear Seeds.
No.
Yeah.
Well, I think they were a partner with Master
Yeah,
Feed, but then they sold their part out. And Brett Young.
Brett Young, yeah, and Brett Young is
Okay.
based in Winnipeg, and this location is actually their first location in Ontario. When they purchased the company in the spring, there was 4 employees, and now there's 8. It is a growing, great family-owned company. They're
That are
hiring
working
people.
down there.
Right now, they're here in
Wow.
Harrison, and they're going to be expanding to the Agrotrend building. So, as you can see, they have a few applications here. So that was the facade component. Then they have a signage component, and then quite a large amount of work that they're doing under the structural one. So the committee was comfortable allocating the facade and signage amounts, but normally our CIP for structural is $40,000.
Correct.
So giving that one application right now would be all of our money already allocated. So the committee asked that we bring a report back to the next meeting and have a whole criteria outlined of how we would give out structural grants, as well as potentially looking at expanding the budget for this program. So if it was $40,000 under structural for 5 years, that's $200,000 over 5 years. We are expecting a lot of these properties to be fixed, say, in 3 years. So potentially moving some of those funds up more into these years because there's a demand now. And these are some significant buildings and significant projects, and this is exactly what we want to see. So we'll be bringing a report back on that to the next meeting. So that's basically the recommendations in the report, is that's what they're saying.
Are we? Our thing here.
Oh,
Who's doing that?
I was doing that.
Oh,
That
okay.
makes
Well,
sense. Sorry.
I was going to get the
can we see it?
Brett Young
Oh, yeah.
if you want, but
Do we have pictures?
Yes.
Belinda, we had them at the committee level of
Yep.
what they're going to do with the building. It's quite impressive, actually.
I'd love to see it.
Yeah.
Lots of paperwork.
So how long has Brett Young had the master?
Not long.
And you should say too, the number of employees he currently has and the growth that he's expecting.
Right, so they had 4 employees when they bought the company, and now they have 8. And they've been using our job portal and have been able to hire people.
Could be, I don't know. Right, no.
Well, before you go over the tracks.
Yeah. You know, right beside the car wash. Kind of an ugly building now. Yeah.
Yeah, so
No. I'm talking about the one in Harrison.
Well, that's gone. I'm not doing anything with it.
then this is what it looks like.
I know that.
Now.
Oh,
Oh,
sorry.
okay.
So
Okay,
this
I know
is
which
the before
building.
Now
and
you know.
after picture.
That's
Now I know.
We saw the after,
Yeah.
here's the before.
Now I know. I always thought that was first year.
So with what Brett Young is proposing is to get rid of those portables and put in new office in the building, new washrooms in the building. There's quite an extensive list of the improvements they'll be making to that building, landscaping. It's pretty significant, and you can see that from the cost of what they're planning to do. So
But that structural grant is not in the minutes that we're approving tonight?
Yes, that's going to come back to the Economic Development Committee in January and then to council after that with some suggestions. But all the rest of the ones in that chart were approved by the committee. So I guess you just have to endorse those if you're in agreement. Any other questions?
Questions?
I do, but it can wait.
Oh, for the 41? Yeah, we're going to be talking a bit
No,
about that.
no,
in the
no,
budget too.
for actually on Brett Young because it's quite interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Want to give me the street view of it? Sorry.
Give it to you. Okay.
That's it.
But we have that. That's pretty good.
Shows you
I
the
just want to
before
show
and
you.
after.
Yeah. And that's just the facade. That's the facade grant.
So that's like what the facade would look
Yeah.
like. But I was explaining that they're gonna for the structural stuff, they're doing a whole bunch of things.
Yeah.
It'd be quite lengthy list. I have it here.
Yeah, I know,
to
but
read
this is just facade grant
Yeah.
part. This part here. So that's what we're approving
Can I
tonight.
see it again?
That's great.
I'll make a motion that we accept the Economic Development Committee report.
Okay, second by Councilor Turton. All in favor? Carried.
I'm in favor.
Oh, the cultural and cultural planning.
And the cultural planning one. Did we not do that one?
I don't think so. No, we moved.
Well, then do you want, and Councilor Caldwell?
No problem, I'll include that as well.
Okay, all two of them? Okay. All in favor?
All two.
3? There's not 3, is there?
No, there's 2.
We just did, we did that too. And Parks and Rec. Matt?
Thank you, Mayor Bridge. So our Parks and Rec Advisory Committee met for the last time this year on November 30th, Palmerston Lions Clubhouse, and was a good meeting. We discussed our October 26th minutes, and we actually had a delegation at that meeting from the GMHL. Facilities Manager Carr asked for some guidance on follow-up. So at this time, PRAC's not interested in pursuing a GMHL franchise in Minto.
I just asked for the GHM.
The
So
hockey.
the
Oh,
Greater
that's the
Metro
Junior
Hockey
hockey.
League was
Junior A team.
visiting local municipalities, gauging interest in
one, yeah.
franchise.
Was it Junior A?
Starting.
Oh, okay.
That's correct.
Tier 3 or
It's it's definitely a very interesting league, and but at this point the committee decided they weren't really interested. That's not to say that someone from the community could take an interest in starting something, but the Parks and Rec committee just didn't feel that was something they wanted to take on. So the motion to pursue a franchise was defeated. We looked over some Norgan Theatre Board minutes. We've had a very good year there. Barn dance went quite well on November 26th. We're going to be closed over the Christmas weekend, but we are going to be open on New Year's Day and that weekend that follows it. So looking forward to a good year in 2016. Some of the grassroots programs that we're running right now, one more week of hockey, and then we're going to take a break for Christmas. It's great to see the improvement from the start of the year to this point now with some of the kids that could barely stand up and are now, skating circles around me. Our grassroots basketball program ended last week. Another very successful program. It was free, which was great. And I think we had 12 kids sign up. And when I was there on Tuesday, there had to have been at least 20 out on the floor.
I know.
So
They keep coming every week.
good problem to have, but it'd be nice if they called. In terms of our PRAC membership, Gerald Coastlake's term is ending this year, and Ryan Fisk expressed interest in joining the committee as the member at large. So
great.
board made a motion to approve his appointment, and that'll be part of the 2016 appointment bylaw. Facilities Manager Alan Carr presented an update on some of the things that have been happening at the facilities. One big thing we're looking at doing next year is going back to Keystone software for bookings. We currently use it for just invoicing, and we use a different software right now for entering the events. Long story short, Keystone's made some big updates to their software, and it's going to cut down on staff time invoicing. They also have a facility calendar that you can migrate onto your website, which is very neat because we'll be able to, through putting bookings into Keystone, a calendar on our website will automatically be updated so people can see what's available in terms of haul, ice, diamonds, things like that. If you have a moment, Brockton or Walkerton, they use this software and their website looks pretty good. We're hoping ours can match theirs or be better. The new window coverings have been installed at the Harriston train station. That was something the 55 Plus Club proposed to do, and they've done it. Looks great.
That's good.
The new lighting's in there as well. Some of the old fixtures were taken out through the Save on Energy grant, so it's a nice looking spot now. It's great. Busy November at the facilities with lots of Christmas parties and banquets and bazaars and things like that. Something else we discussed was the grass cutting tender for 2016. The 2014 tender had a town exclusive option for next year, and PRAC reviewed the proposal by Michelle's Mowing and More with some of the additional properties we've taken on. The prices she gave were reviewed, and some minor adjustments made to property that has changed, such as the Clifford Ball Diamond. Not as much grass to cut there now that the houses are going up, so PRAC was in favor of those amendments and retaining her services for 2016. Facilities manager Cara and I are working on a 3-year ball, soccer, and ice rate strategy. So we brought it to PRAC at their December meeting to sort of ponder, and we'll take another look at that in January. It's just nice from our perspective as well as our renters to kind of know what the long-term strategy is and what the rates plans are, so they can, or I guess we can both budget for it accordingly. And finally, we are looking at renewing our soft drink agreement, or the soft drink agreement we currently have is set to expire in January. We received a renewal offer from Pepsi, but at this time we're also going to entertain an offer from Coke and then bring a report back to you on who we think we should go with. And our next meeting will be up in Clifford on the 28th, Thursday instead of a Monday, so we can meet with the Clifford Rec Association and hear about some of the great things that they're doing up there. It's a great group, and it's always nice to get together with them once annually just to chat and see how they're doing. Any questions?
I did follow up on, I said the Westario there, David. I did follow up on that a little bit. Very technical. Not as easy as you think on the reading for the at the end of the month going into the next year. So Lisa was going to maybe get Al to call up to, and I've got to their facilities, to their direct line person to explain it, because starting to explain it to me, no. Okay. There's more to it. I thought like Al thought that you could just read it, but it's all a weighted thing, and so there's more to it than what we think.
Right.
What this is about is if the curling club or the hockey rink goes into 1 or 2 days into the next month, there's an average, but it's not even just an average monthly one. It's even more complex than that.
Yeah.
So,
from what I understand, yeah, if you're a couple of days towards the end of the month, or
they'll give you some leeway.
Month, yeah.
But if you're into it for a week, you're going to probably pay the whole month. Yeah.
Yeah, that increased rate for every kilowatt used. Yes.
Yeah, just ask through you, Mayor Bridge, what our policy is on tendering grass cutting. Do we do it annually, or is it just something we?
Well, through Mayor Bridge, it's something that we tender typically for 2 or 3 years.
Okay.
So for the last tender, we decided to do it for 2 years with a town option for the third at our exclusive right. So the Parks and Rec Committee, and I believe Public Works, I chatted with Brian before we met with PRAC to see what they thought of the job she was doing on some of the Public Works properties, and the general consensus, well, actually the overwhelming consensus is we're happy with the work she's doing and wanted to retain it at that rate for next year.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Just didn't know if we had to do a tender every year.
I think one of the
Glad we don't.
one of the concerns I think Councillor Caldwell would be, I mean, she's had to go out and buy specialized equipment to get into the cemeteries and different things like that she wouldn't have not necessarily had. So it's kind of nice to give them 2 or 3 years before you take it back out again. Yeah. Because there's a capital investment there somewhat. I think there was, I believe the first year she realized that she had to actually get some thinner, or like not as wide to get in. narrower things she didn't have on, so she had to go make investments. So I think it's fair as long as everybody's happy with the service.
And she was doing a great job in the cemetery.
So we do have a clause that if we did get someone for 3 years, we could get out of it if we weren't happy with their service.
After 2.
After 2 years, correct.
Okay.
3 more to go.
Do you want to get a motion on this one? Deputy Mayor Faulkner, Councilor Dirksen, all in favor? Okay, next one up is Joint Health and Safety Committee Annual Update.
No, accessibility.
Sorry, accessibility.
Yeah, that sounds
Oh
good.
yeah,
We'll do
Parks and Rec
accessibility
up there.
first.
Sorry, I'm jumping a little ahead on
That's
you
all
there. You have 3 in a row.
Yeah.
Four.
I didn't intend to bring 4 reports to the last council
you
meeting.
We're voting at the end to get them through.
Yeah.
At Christmas. Yeah.
I'll go quickly here, but the accessibility annual update, just a little bit of a recap on some of the things that we've done this year, or just a background on the AODA itself. There's basically 2 main provisions. There's the customer service standard, and then there's everything else. Everything else includes the employment standard, information and communication, as well as design of public spaces. The transportation standard, which is at the bottom of the right side, doesn't really apply to us because we don't provide public transportation or offer taxi service. That's all done through the county. So just to recap on some of the things that are covered under these provisions. Accessibility standards for customer service. We're very proactive at training our new and seasonal staff upon hire or return, and existing staff receive refresher training annually in the fall. This is something that we've transitioned to an online training platform to do. Just makes life a whole lot easier for myself to sort of make sure that it's getting done. And it's not too onerous once all the things are set up. It's actually pretty straightforward. With respect to our general requirements, our accessibility policy and our multi-year accessibility plan have been in place for a few years now. One of the things I'd like to do in 2016 is just take a look at revamping it, update it with some of the changes that have happened in the last 4 or 5 years. With respect to information and communication, it's great that, and I believe it was an article written by Pat Raftis, that we're the only council in the county of Wellington that records council meetings, puts it on our YouTube channel, puts it on Whiteman TV. There are people who may want to be here but can't get out here because of different mobility issues or scheduling or things like that. So it's great that if people want to watch a council meeting, that's an option. As well, moving to eScribe with our PDF format agenda. A lot easier to scroll through if someone's interested in a particular part of the agenda. So
Nobody's moving in that. Oh, I see. That's not live.
Yeah.
Ron Elliott's here. How does he get?
And just to finish off on the information and communication standard, department heads as well as staff who update the website will receive training on tips and things that you should try and incorporate into making your communications as accessible as possible. With respect to the employment standard, I'm working on a tip sheet to hand out to staff. I didn't quite get it done for this meeting tonight, but it's something I want to send out to department heads later this month, just with respect to recruiting people from the interviewing or the advertisement stage to creating emergency response plans if you have a staff person with a disability or an individual accommodation plan when required. Then with respect to design of public spaces, looking at training some of our senior public works and recreation staff with some of the standards that come into effect on January the 1st. That'll affect things such as trails, play spaces, and exterior paths of travel like sidewalks. So just making sure that we're aware of all the requirements there. The building code, again, that remains in place for any public spaces that are indoors or structural in nature. And we've actually been fortunate to receive the county's accessibility fund in 2014 and 2015. It went towards the Harrison train station in 2014, and this year it was used to help renovate the CNRA or the Palmerston Lions clubhouse in Palmerston. Well, we had our PRAC meeting there, like I mentioned, and the place looks great, and it's phenomenal. I'm sure they're going to get a lot of bookings with the state that building's in now. with respect to some of the financial considerations, it's great that our online training cost should be minimal with our subscription to HR downloads. And then any other expenditures will be unique in their circumstance, whether it's capital in nature or if it's we haven't received a request about our website or alternative formats of communication. So those would be unique in each instance. Any questions?
Good. A lot of hard work. You're doing a good job, Matt, on this. I know some of the other municipalities are a little bit behind us on some of this stuff, and I know they're asking for your advice and help.
Well, it's wonderful that we've got the technology and that we're utilizing it, for sure. Yeah.
Motion to accept that. Councilor Anderson, Councilor Dirksen, all in favor? Okay. Next report.
Thank you, Mayor Bridge. The next one's the Joint Health and Safety Committee annual update. Don't really have any flashy pictures for this one, so I'll go really quickly. Just basically, we're bound by the Occupational Health and Safety Act in Ontario. And again, all staff employed by the town complete an annual health and safety refresher test in January. So accessibility in the fall and health and safety in January at the start of the year. The committee did their spring inspections on April 29th, and the fall inspections took place on October the 28th. We're looking at a couple of new committee members for 2016. Belinda will be joining the committee. She's actually made 2 meetings already this year. And then Carissa Downey will take my place upon her return as the member at large in May of 2016. Something that's come up that's great is we have 3 members right now on the committee with their Part 1 training for joint health and safety certification. There's a Part 2 training coming up in February in Stratford that we've signed them up for through the Public Health and Safety Alliance. What's great about that is typically we're having to travel twice as far and pay twice as much for that type of training. So the fact that this group's going to offer a municipal specific Part 2 training that's half the distance at half the price and before March 1st when the regulations change is great. And that'll be good for our committee. Our work plan for next year has been modified. We've sort of enhanced it so that we're specifically making people responsible for different parts of the work plan, just so that they're fully aware that that's what they're expected to do. And our proposed budget back at our budget meeting in November is again $4,000, which has been the same amount for about the last 4 or 5 years. So, yeah. Any questions about health and safety? Okay.
Motion to accept. Councilor Caldwell, Councilor Turton, all in favor? Great. Still got some voice left?
I do, surprisingly. The last report is just to do with the Trails Funding Program, and again, the county's been great at creating programs that the local municipalities can take advantage of. This one's with respect to trails development. So basically, we're eligible to receive up to $50,000 through this program between now and November of 2018. Basically, it is a matching fund, so dollar for dollar that's spent, they'll fund half of it. So the rec department this year spent $14,342.51 on trail development. And that included things like new railing and decking, gates, a trailhead sign, outdoor message boards, etc. So if we asked the county for 50% funding, that would be $7,171.26. And that would be taken or deducted from the $50,000 that's sitting there. That would leave $42,828.74 worth of matching funding available for our future initiatives. So basically, if council approves this report, I'll send notice down to the county's planning committee. Their staff will bring it before them, and if they approve it, we'll get a check and we'll be all set. So.
Questions? And we did have our first trail meeting. You want to update us on that? Or?
So we had our first meeting today. It's taken us a while to sort of get that together because of varied schedules, and just discussed We have access to most of the linkages or availability for access to link us from Palmerston all the way to Clifford. So we're going to make a list of the landowners that we need to approach and see how they feel about us utilizing or sharing their land or so forth and so on. And then once we have those sort of barriers outlined or cleared out of the way, if we can, then we'll look at some interest from the local groups that are currently maintaining parts of the trail and see if we can get enough interest to get a committee going to expand the trail as well as assist with maintaining it, because that will be a challenge we feel somewhat. So we're hoping we get some volunteers, even if they'll help with doing inspections and letting us know if there's areas that need some attention.
So nice to see that projects get going, and we'll go from there.
Definitely very well said.
Yep. Okay. Motion to accept. Deputy Mayor, Jean and Deputy Mayor Faulkner, all in favor? Okay, good.
Thank you.
Take a breather there, man.
Thank you.
All right, building assistant. That would be Stacy. Here she comes.
Hi. Not quite as bad as Matt, but
There you go.
it's a tough nut to follow. He's so good at it.
I know.
Boy, a lot of compliments.
I know. Yeah, it must be Christmas presents we're giving out to everybody. All the compliments. Good stuff.
So my first report is on standard conditions for consent applications. Basically, this is to ensure that we have a consistent approach that is effective and enforceable in submitting our conditions for severances and other consent applications to the county, and to ensure that they comply with the town policies and procedures that are in place. Some of those obviously you're probably familiar with them: parkland dedication, financial, public works, entrance accesses, servicing, that kind of thing, as well as compliance with the zoning bylaws. Basically, any condition that we do submit, we want to make sure that it says prior to the issuance a certificate of consent is issued, and we will confirm in writing once those consents, we basically sign off on them, that they've complied, the applicant has complied with all the conditions that we've brought forth. So there's a very detailed list of conditions here in this report under the clerk's department. Basically, I'm not going to read them all. I hope that's okay. But there's the first one is basically in relation to financial requirements that we might require. That might include clearance of conditions letter, if we had a certified list, that kind of thing, just to make sure all those basic fees are paid. The second one would be your parkland dedication, to make sure they've either paid their $500 per residential lot or given us 5% of the land. Site plan agreement, if required, would be negotiated and signed through that process. And then any easements or road widenings or that kind of thing that they would have to give to the town, we'd make sure that that's actually registered and through the building department. So we'd like to include conditions that they understand that the issuance of a building permit they might also be required to pay development charges associated with those, that's not covered through the consent process. We want to ensure that they are conforming with all the applicable requirements of the Town of Minto zoning bylaw. And partial to that, sometimes if there are buildings on the property that do not comply, they might require to have them moved or demolished, or they might need a minor variance or a zoning bylaw amendment to allow them to continue with that. If there is a septic system on the property, like in a lot of rural severances, then we would ensure that it was functioning properly through a certified professional, just so that there's no issues in the future with future purchases of the land or that kind of thing, and to ensure that it's all contained within the lot that it's supposed to be used on. In regards to public works, could be a drainage assessment schedule if there's municipal drain, to allocate the fees and charges associated with maintenance and that kind of thing. grading or drainage plan to ensure that the grading of the lot isn't going to interfere with the neighboring lot. The retained is not going to interfere with the severed, etc. That kind of thing. So it ensures on-site drainage is proper. Road access or entrance. That's kind of straightforward. And then site servicing arrangements in relation to all aspects of public works, basically sanitary, sewers, water, stormwater, that kind of thing, street lights, roadways, curbs, sidewalks. And I think, Brian, we have policies that are going to be coming into effect to regulate those, right?
Correct.
And so we'll just make sure that they comply with those new policies. And then I guess in relation to that, separate municipal services are available to each lot. And then the finance aspect of that would be your frontage charges, your sanitary, your water, and your storm sewer. And to make sure they understand that this does include the cost of lateral connections. And at this time, there are no financial implications associated to standardizing these conditions. And so we just like to move forward and do that.
Mayor Bridge, this is new.
Uh,
Or has it always been in place but never really a policy?
Yeah, it's kind of always been in place. We generally try to follow that structure. We have a planning meeting with department heads or applicable people involved prior to bringing a report to council in relation to those applications. We discuss these issues, but yeah, it's more formalizing it. I guess part of it would be just to make sure that we don't miss anything. At the same time, there may and possibly will be conditions on there that aren't these standard conditions because every application is unique and you never know what you may come across. But yeah, basically you're right. We've always been doing it. We just are trying to make sure that we're trying to ensure that we're doing it consistently and not missing anything.
No, well, good. I when I was listening to you and reading this, and a lot of these you recognize,
Yeah, it's
the
pretty
entrances, all the things for planning. But it's nice to have it in a package that it's consistent, that we're not missing one. And it gets down to another level of government, and we didn't get that one.
Mayor Bridge, does that mean this becomes a regulation as opposed to a policy?
Yeah, go ahead, Bill, please.
Mayor Bridge, through you, it would be a policy.
We'll see.
And see, in the reports that Stacy brings to you on severance applications, she will be recommending the conditions off this list.
Correct.
So you should see them again and again. But it should just quickly 2 points. I guess one, it's setting up a process whereby Stacy is essentially taking over a lot of the planning work, which just makes me happier and happier every day. So she's coordinating all these development group meetings. So as a service to our builders, she'll bring together all our agencies and they'll have one meeting and one set of changes to the plan. And so we don't mess people around with different versions of different plans coming at different times. So it's part of making that process continue to work better.
Good sense.
And on that, Bill, I think that's one of the reasons we've been successful over the last 3 or 4 years is we've created that feeling that when people come in, we get all the players at the table, we talk about everything, we get things done. And that's a credit to the staff and how they develop these policies and procedures. So I don't think when people come in that deal with us on a regular basis, they know what to expect and they feel very comfortable with how we do things. So I appreciate that. That's part of your leadership and planning too, a little bit. You don't like to take
I'd like it to go away and
I know you're training people. That's a good idea.
And Terry's excellent too. I mean, the whole group.
Yeah, it all works good.
And the county too. They definitely have a hand in it.
Okay, so I need a motion to accept. Councillor Turton, Councillor Dirksen, all in favor? Very good. And you're still up there. This is a night of many reports for everybody.
I have 3.
I know you do.
Yeah. Okay. So this one's in relation to source water. It's for a collaboration agreement for a database that we require to manage our information and organize data to fulfill our reporting requirements and to work with all the municipalities in the county. Basically, you guys all know the plan for a Sabo Bayfield Maitland Valley was approved and effective April 1st, and Saugeen has just recently been approved and is effective July 1st. And we have been out on site, so this is a pressing matter. It's taken a long while for the database to be developed and the collaboration agreement to be agreed upon, what's actually written in there. So basically, this would allow us a medium to store all our information and draw that information out for reporting requirements. So the Upper Thames Region Conservation Authority developed the database, and they call it the Local Source Water Information Management System. And basically, the advantages of having them develop the database is that they're actively involved and have been for a number of years in the source protection program. And so they have a full understanding of it. Also, they've had a hand in developing provincial databases, so they're familiar of what we're going to be required to do to report to the province. Part of the reason we went with this option is we were directly involved in the development of the database as a working group, the municipalities in the County of Wellington. And our time on that group was recognized financially in the agreement, so we got a lower shared cost. Basically, I'll just read this paragraph because it really sums it up good. The objective of the LSWIMS initiative is to develop a data storage and management solution to assist municipalities in administering and reporting on municipal activities associated with complying with the requirements under the Clean Water Act. So basically, I don't have the agreement right in front of me, but the total design and development costs for each municipality and the county and the county itself. So our total of 34,250 is divided by 8, and each municipality it's 4,281.25. This was procured through Center Wellington, and so we'll receive an invoice for that financially. This portion of it will be covered under our Source Water Protection Municipal Implementation Fund. And in the future, the annual operating costs are estimated between $3,500 and $6,500. 2016 will also be eligible under the SPMF fund. There are some operating costs, and our group, the Wellington Source Water Protection Working Group that we sit on, has requested that be put into the county RMO budget.
Through you, Mayor Bridge, Stacey, is there a consistency in interpretation of philosophies and the source water protection rules consistent across the county, or is there a difference? Because originally, when all those first rules came out and whatnot, there was a fair bit of differences in the philosophies.
Okay, so there are 5 different source protection plans that are applicable because they're watershed based. And there are minor differences, and I would consider them minor, in the policies and procedures that regulate the activities. As far as consistency, though, we all have the same applications, the same education and outreach. We share a website, that kind of thing. So in order to keep it as consistent as possible, especially since Kyle is our shared RMO, that's the way we went. So I would say, compared to some of the reports that I had seen previously on source water protection and the concerns that council rose at that time, that it's very minimal compared to what it was then.
Mayor Bridge, Stacey, is Kyle, what's his term? Is he full-time, or is he hired a contract?
No, he's a full-time employee.
Yeah. He'll be there until this goes away somewhere. Yeah. He'll never be never. Councillor Caldwell.
Just before you get to your last report, Stacey, I hope I'm not going to embarrass you by saying this, but I am so impressed with your report tonight. You've come a long way. I remember the first time you presented to council, you were very nervous, and I say that's really. No, but it shows the leadership, and we expect that type of presentation from our department heads. But to see the growth, I'm really impressed, and I just want to thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good job.
Her hair's still red.
Yeah.
It matches
Now
the
it
way.
face matches.
I don't even have to say
And,
anything.
and
Just
just
sit down.
just one comment before we leave this one, and that was why it was really essential that the county picked up Kyle right at the beginning, because without Kyle, with 5 different groups, and I think what you're saying, Deputy Mayor Faulkner, is it was very confusing at the beginning. We saw how confusing it was when we had one report was like this and one was like this, and everybody trying to get. So having Kyle on board since day one, I know Stacy and I know Terry's not here, but both of you have appreciated having that person to bounce that off, and he did a lot of this heavy slugging through some of that major work. I know of talking to him that he has a lot of knowledge and certainly has helped everybody on across the board.
Yes, like he prepared formal comments in each commenting period for the plans to try to keep them as consistent as possible.
So it's worked out well. Yep. Right.
Okay.
Do we have a motion on that last one? Councilor Colwell, Councilor Turton, all in favor? Very good. And then now you're into your real meat and potato stuff.
So this is for a site plan approval for H&H Gill Brothers at 439 Main Street East in Palmerston. The existing vacant land is basically on the far east side of town, and the proposal is for a 6-unit apartment building with 1 entrance from the main street. The building and the location of the building complies with the zoning bylaw. We just wanted to note that as per the site plan submitted, which is on page 47, that there was no outdoor storage on the site plan, which is okay. It just, if they did in future propose that it would have to comply with the zoning bylaw. Snow storage is proposed on the landscaped area, and it's the responsibility of the landowner to do private removal of that. Sidewalks are noted on the site plan of the entrance of the building, but the town does have a proposed sidewalk extension that would extend down to this lot. So it would be our recommendation that they continue that sidewalk up to the entrance of the property. And there was no lighting mentioned on the site plan, which is also a requirement. The site servicing, as verified on site, will suffice for the building. There's existing 2 water lines, and they will have to remain separate with separate shutoffs. So this lot is actually on the edge of a future subdivision, and the site plan is shown there. So that is part of the reason why we are requesting the extension of the sidewalk and that kind of thing. As far as the finances go, the owner has submitted the site plan application fee and deposit as required, and a site plan agreement confirms construction will occur. Okay, so I guess that I would ask that you, in consideration of this report, that you would approve the site grading and illustration of existing typography approved by Triton, and that you would allow that on the condition that the final site plan providing grading, drainage, servicing, sidewalk installation, and landscaping details be submitted for town staff approval.
Just please refresh my memory. Have we approved the site plan for the other part? I don't think we have we?
What, for the subdivision?
Yes.
No.
I don't think we have, right? I just wanted
It's
to
a
verify
future,
that.
I believe, Bill, you might know further details, but
If I may, I believe it was submitted probably 2 terms of council, at least in a preliminary stage. So it's at the county. I don't know that it has draft plan approval, and I think it has been modified since. But the zoning is not in place for that subdivision. It may have draft plan approval, but if not, it's not fully established yet.
Yeah.
So
I didn't think so. Okay, thank you.
And I do believe, if I'm correct, in the previous council, they did get some commercial development along the front of it, Bill. Remember highway commercial? They got highway commercial along there. I don't know if that's part of the overall site plan, or was that just the amount that he had along the...
Yeah, in this drawing,
Yeah, the dark brown.
I think as I said, this might be kind of an older version of the plan, because I think at the back there was a modification too related to the hospital, but
I sold land back there, and
Yeah.
we did a few things, but I don't think there's anything permanent.
no,
But this particular piece of property isn't part of that site plan anyway.
this one is just shown on the edge of it.
It's on the edge. It's
So we
separate.
wanted to show there where this lot sat relative to
For
that
sure.
yet fully defined subdivisions.
Any other questions? Faulkner, second by Councilor Anderson. All in favor? This is great to see. Hopefully it's a $6 going up in the spring.
That's right.
And building statistics.
I guess
Usually Terry comes here to brag about these, but you go ahead, take the glory for him.
For the department.
So this
The
is
department.
this is the November building permit. So the monthly permits are 18. I'm not sure how much detail he goes into. Sorry, but
Oh, great detail.
Yeah.
What 18 were they?
Like, I think he usually talks about the accessory dwellings and explains which ones go where and what the renovations were about. But if you don't have that information, we can live with that.
sorry, I could look that up for you. Though.
No, it's okay.
Make them stay in Excel.
That's a good one.
So 18 permits totaling 643,000 this year.
23.
Double.
So
And on
for-
your second one, did everybody get an update on the multiple family dwellings? I believe.
We didn't tell her. We forgot.
Okay, you forgot. I brought that up today in
No.
department heads.
That
sorry.
says
Total year-to-date
176
don't
and
agree.
There's 0 permits issued for 2,250,000.
That's the way to do it.
Obviously, that
That's a
is
good way
an
to do it.
error.
But
Yeah.
So it's actually 6, I believe, Stacy, because that makes
Well, then it
180.
would
That's
make it,
6 left, yes.
that's
Sorry,
what would make
we-
it balanced too, because
we
there's
had-
182 on one
Yeah.
report and 176 on the other.
That's right.
Sorry. We had, and I had difficulty doing it. We added a new category here to reflect a change in the Planning Act to allow accessory dwellings, and that was in a specific category. So obviously my
Yeah.
my formulas weren't in there properly.
Well, so I would say that you got 182 there for 23. So I'll just start it.
Yes. Okay.
Accessory dwelling. Is that like a granny flat? Like
Similar to, yes, granny flats would be a separate section in the Planning Act,
Yeah.
but yeah, if someone wanted an apartment in their basement or that
Right.
kind of thing,
Right.
the Planning Act has allowed that since 2012, and we're just seeing the impacts of that kind of
Correct.
filtering in with permits now.
Hey, any questions for other than my rude comments? Anyways, okay. Motion to accept that. Dirksen, Councilor Turton, all in favor? Very good. Excellent.
Thank
Be nice to break 25, right? Just see if we can get any. How are the building permits coming? Get a few more coming through?
To be honest, they've slowed a little bit,
Yeah.
but not what we typically think. They're still high compared to what we typically
Oh.
see in December.
No snow this year, so
Haven't
we
had
can
freeze
build
up
right.
yet.
Right, the weather
Right.
probably has something to do with that, yes.
Good. Excellent. Okay. Fire chief.
I'll drag the report writing down.
You're dragging us
No
down.
compliments for you.
Yeah.
Okay. There it is.
All right. Well, I told you I'd be back, and I'm back pretty quick. So you've seen the report. You've got the history. We've talked about it a couple times now. We're able to find one that we believe is a really good find. We flew one of our members out, who is an emergency vehicle technician, certified in the American and the Canadian EVT, it's called. He went down and did a whole day and a half of going over the truck and driving it and looking through a magnifying glass with it, and came back and his report was very, very, very favorable. So the crappy part is, the good part is we've been able to negotiate and we've got them down to a good price. We got them below asking price, but the problem is it's an American dollar. So, the longer
That's
that this goes, the
the
longer.
part that
so-
sorry.
Well, first Councilor Caldwell, and then Councilor Turton, then you.
Oh,
I just
fine.
wanted to ask the
Fine.
Sturgeon Bridge, at 2004, so it's already 11 years old. How long lifespan span do they normally have?
Usually, it depends from truck to truck, but the one that we have now is an 89, so it's 26 years old.
And is that, you would expect this to last?
Yeah,
to that?
we hope for 25 years,
Oh, okay.
and like most of our trucks, our tanker trucks that you'll see come in a future council meeting soon, they're 25, 26 years old too. So the problem with the trucks is they we get lots of use out of them, like years out of them, because they don't have very much mileage on them because we don't drive them very far. Like, you know, we have 25-year-old trucks that are 18,000 kilometers on them. But as they get old and past 25 years, we have problems finding parts to fix them because we just continue making parts for them.
They're antiques.
So
Yeah.
they are. So that's one of the things, and they just start to break down no
And
matter how
rust.
much, and things go wrong and rust out. So, but this one was no rust on it that he could find up and down. So
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Bridge. Mary Lou asked my question, but it's a nice big truck. Is it going to fit? Do we have to put an extension on?
no, we've measured because we will not make that mistake. We've measured and it will fit inside the fire hall. So it is 2 feet longer than our truck, but as our bylaw enforcement officer's Danger Ranger, it'll still fit behind it. So
Okay.
the little Ranger pickup will fit behind
Good
it.
looking
still.
unit.
The one thing that's a good find with this, as it says in the report, is this is an amalgamated county in Oregon, or Oregon, whatever way you want to say it, and they're switching to tillers, which is the tractor trailer type units. So that's just a decision by the county, and that's why they're getting rid of the truck early, because their whole county switching to that. So to me, that's a good thing too. That's a good find. That what we kind of wanted, not somebody that's had its end of its life in their department and they're shipping it on. So.
Or a lemon.
Correct.
Commissioner Faulkner.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Bridge. And the thing that really struck me was the price of a new truck,
Mm-hmm.
$1.3 million, and I think this is a pretty good find. And for our municipality, there's a distinct need for that type of unit in case we had, God forbid, an accident happen on our main streets.
Yep. And you're getting it shipped?
We negotiated an agreement. Yeah, they're gonna fix a few things like some seat covers that were ripped and stuff like that. And I did negotiate that they're gonna deliver it to us. So we have to look after getting the paperwork to the border, but which is understandable from our aspect. But they're gonna deliver it to us. So
Sorry, Mayor Bridge, thank you. Are we using this in other towns, townships?
we do have an agreement with Mapleton, and we can have agreements with other towns that they do call it in. And there's agreements that have to be in place on how they pay for it and that type of thing.
So Mapleton does not have one presently?
In the county of Wellington, there's 3. Center of Wellington has one, which in the middle we have one, and Puslinch has one. So it actually works out very well for the county, and it's inadvertently working together, because then it's the north, the central, and the south. So we're pretty lucky too here, because we were able to call in listals and vice versa, which is not our county obviously, but our requirement is we call them in, which you may have seen in the flower shop fire that we had a few years ago, where we had both of them set up there. So.
Okay. Motion to accept. Faulkner, Councilor Dirksen, all in favor? Carried.
So just as a sidebar, I didn't want to say it until this. So if you made your decision. No. No, this is good. And I didn't know this is, but I didn't want to say it to influence you. But our present aerial truck was just taken off service today.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Blew the water pump on it, and we're not fixing it. So as of today, it's now totally out of service.
It's not a pumper anymore.
It's not a nothing now.
So that becomes surplus, right? And
Correct.
somebody
You will
can
see
buy
it
it.
come
Yeah,
back
we
and
can
we
use
will
that for our parade vehicle.
Well, that's
on the
good.
ladder.
If
Yeah,
you
we
can
can
afford
walk-
if you can pull it.
Yeah, right. It doesn't work. Eh? Oh, okay. Table that. A hunting ladder. Yes. Oh. Okay. Thanks, Chris. CEO Clerk Bill, you want to take over the next one?
Thank you, Mayor Bridge. I've been reporting to you on the various position papers. I was hoping this was the last one, but just last week another one showed up, so I'm looking forward to reading it. It's couple of inches thick. So anyway, this one relates to climate change, and it wasn't entirely intended to be to you at the same time as the climate change conference in Paris concluded, but those of you who've been paying attention to the media know that they did reach an agreement at the conference where there was almost 200 countries represented. So there seems to be some sort of a framework out there. The purpose of this report is just to see where provincial policy fits into that framework. And I did attach an article, and it has some political commentary in it, but I wasn't really there for that. It was more to, I think that the person who wrote the article is in fact someone who believes in acting to resolve issues of climate change, but I think what they're pointing out is the difference between what happens at a conference with 190 communities or countries represented, where they reach a non-binding general framework agreement, and there's a big difference between that and what happens here with our businesses and the people who pay taxes and our day-to-day work at the municipality. So we will be the front lines of implementing this, and so I wanted to bring it, I guess, into focus from the conference to the provincial report position paper to where AMO is and to where we might be in the future. Frankly, I see it as likely a huge cost for the municipalities going forward the next 20, 25 years. I do too. I'm way up. We're into something else here. Sorry. Jumping ahead. The first part of the report sort of summarized what's in the provincial energy or climate change document, the 10 components that are made up into it, the long and short-term goals that are in that document, and where they hope to take us in the future. There's long-term and short-term actions, what they expect out of the private sector, the public sector, in terms of science and technology and words like scaling up and decoupling and that sort of stuff. Very, very complicated and very, very challenging to move this forward through into an implementation practice. So where we ended up with in the report is presenting to you the premier letter from AMO to the Premier, in which it states that please be advised that Minto supports the collaboration of the Association of Municipalities and their Quebec counterparts to address climate change in our provinces and to help meet reduction targets and reduce emissions in our communities and improve resilience. We know that we really don't know what that means yet, but resilience. We will call on your work in partnership with local governments to give municipalities adequate, stable, and long-term funding to invest in these programs, to recognize municipal projects that reduce greenhouse gases for offset credits in cap and trade. That's where they put a price on carbon. They're essentially saying that you no longer can pollute without payment. So those payments that are made to pollute, in a sense, would be funneled back to countries that are trying to improve their ways of reducing greenhouse gas, and perhaps to municipalities or other agencies. We know the Conservation Authority wants part of that too, to help do some of these projects. So those were the 4 bullet points that were kind of within the AMO framework. In reading this, and consistent with your other positions on some of the other papers, felt like it would be important to add in something pertaining to reporting. Right now, we did a green energy plan, and we report annually on that green energy plan, and we're staffed to do that essentially primarily through the Treasury Department. We don't take in a lot of expertise to do that or to report on that. And what we don't want to see is another dozen or 20 or 50 measures that we have to report back on if we get a few $100,000 in climate change funding. So that's why we're suggesting that reporting required for existing local green energy plans not be enhanced or increased as precondition to receiving funding for climate change programs, so that valuable local municipal staff resources can remain focused on program execution. And above that, we mentioned in the report, we're already doing a lot in my mind in terms of your move to LED street lighting, the trees for Minto work, the VFD technologies in our arenas, the blower and aerator technologies that were presented to you for the sewage wastewater plants. These are all underway, and these are things that we've pursued because we felt they were the right thing to do, not because there was any kind of world mandate to do so. And to have us then spend a lot of time and energy reporting on all those things and filling out a bunch of forms on measurements and things, I think that's counterproductive. So we're hoping that the innovation that they talk about in their document would apply to us. Innovation and flexibility to use that funding in creative ways. So that's our recommendation to you, is that you receive the report, that you consider supporting the letter as outlined by the Association of Municipalities, and then you add that extra bullet point.
Questions?
Good report.
Excellent. Great
I think,
report.
and I guess just to the staff, or to the council and staff, there'll be a lot of stuff coming out on cap and trade. There'll be things at conferences to go to, and that just take advantage of whatever you can to learn on it. I mean, I haven't read the whole report, to be honest with you, in detail yet. I will. The computer wasn't working at home, so I couldn't get it up and running here. But I think, we have to be knowledgeable. We have to learn as much as we can. What came out of Paris in my mind was a couple things. I mean, there was supposedly a large dollar amount went to what I call the third world developing countries. And if we do have a win-win maybe on this, is that they don't get into the whole area that we've already been into with relying on oil and all the other stuff. So if they can do it with solar power and other things in some of the rural areas, it's probably better. I was at a conference about 4 months ago, and they talked about the new technologies that are coming down the pike, windmills, and but not the big ones we see out there, but ones that we can put in our backyards, solar panels with better battery things, where we might see a lot of us going off the grid for part of our power, which brings up a whole another problem that we still have the lines to somehow pay for it. But I see, technology has been in the past has come up with some things that have helped us. So hopefully it's at least a starting point, Bill. I know what you said. You get that many people together in a room, at least they come up with some kind of guidelines. It'll be interesting to see how it all shakes out. But yeah, it'd be nice not to have another report to have to do. That's for sure. Anyways, that's my rant. Anybody else got one? No? Okay. Motion to accept. Councilor Caldwell, Deputy Mayor Faulkner. All in favor? Okay. Keep her going.
I'm next again.
You're next.
Not near as long as Matt, but
I think you get 3. Everybody gets 3. Yeah, everybody gets 3. 3 reports.
this pertains to the building at 122 Robertson Street, where the town of Minto has had an agreement with some form of ambulance service out of Guelph since 2006, and the rent since 2006 has been $1,800 per month plus utilities. We've had a good user of our building, which brings an ambulance into our community, and that's a useful thing, and I think that's been recognized by the councils that have signed these agreements. One of the requests that came forward out of them in 2014 was that they have an emergency generator on the location. I think that's a reasonable request for an emergency services like that, to have a generator in there so they can function at a higher level when power is out. We've spent some time pricing that and finding the right one and establishing the criteria for something that would suit them, and that model is outlined in the comments section of the report. But the cost of that model is approximately $30,000. When we brought this to council in 2014, the deal was that we would look at an extension or rent increase, or both, to help fund with this. So what they've proposed in the wording of the document is that they would increase their rent by $200 a month, and that would go until December 31st, 2019, and that will generate about $9,000 more towards the $30,000 generator. And then assuming they extend, and we believe they will extend, that would generate another $12,000. So you'd be at $21,000 towards the $30,000 generator if you went through till 2024. If they don't extend, what they're saying is they would pay half of the cost of the generator less the rent they've paid, the additional rent they've paid. So we're in support of that approach as a staff, and we recommend that you agree to that proposal, and we'll bring a bylaw back that would allow you to execute that agreement once it's been reviewed by the town solicitor.
There was also mention, through you, Mayor Bridge, there was also mention of a request to pave the lot. Did we have a cost on what it would cost to pave that lot?
From what I recall, I think it was around the $10,000 mark.
And has there been any consideration to continue that? 19,000?
No, it's in the report.
I'll move that.
The paving to 2,000, I know that.
If I may, Mayor Bridge, through you, at council in 2014 said, well, let's look at the generator first and see.
Absolutely.
We talked about it, and if you look at the parking lot, obviously it could use some pavement. So when it may come back as a budget item at some point before 2019, or it may wait until then. Their main goal was to get the generator.
Councillor Dixon.
I'm just wondering about a few things. What is the life expectancy of the generator? Who looks after the repairs and maintenance of it? And generators perform better if they're exercised, even if they're not needed. So I just wondered, are we as a town responsible for that, or will they do that as part of their lease?
It will be our generator through you.
Yeah,
Mayor Bridge.
we'll own it.
We will own it, and we would be exercising it as part of our emergency planning work. We do that for our generator here and all of them, so we would continue to do that. We did look at portable and mobile, and there's a lot of technical discussion. We even had Wayne in again this morning to tell us about it, but essentially it deals with three-phase power versus regular power, and for this one you can't have a mobile generator.
But we did talk about it, Bill, and I'll bring it up. That we would love to see if we could somehow organize it so that we could have backup from that generator for our water tower.
Right, there's
It's right there.
communication equipment on top that the fire department uses, and there is a way of doing that. It's expensive. We don't know the exact price yet, but that's being looked into. But this generator, in addition to the capital cost, it will be our responsibility.
Was the primary purpose of the generator to maintain the communication system, or because the ambulances are self-sufficient and they have inverters built into them now, which it took a long time to get them back in?
Mainly the doors and the communication system. Lighting and showers.
Councillor Caldwell.
It just
And
seems to me
Councillor-
like a long payback period. You said the generator is ours, but yet if they don't renew their contract, they'll pay half of it? And then is it still ours?
We'll have it at our building here at that location, so it'd be suitable for other tenants. It's not impossible to pick it up and move it if you had to, but we don't necessarily want to do that. I guess we'd evaluate it at that time if that became an issue.
Yeah, Mayor Bridge, is that 30,000, is that installed? Is that an installed price?
With the exception of the gas. And
Gotta
I'm
come
not
off
sure
the
the
street.
price on the gas.
Yeah, it's a gas generator. It's a gas.
Natural gas, yeah.
Natural gas. With a timer and everything, it'll just kick on. I think overall it's a good investment, and we get to keep the generator. And it's unfortunate that in a perfect world they would actually have a capital budget to put that in themselves, but it's not the way it's worked out. We're
Yeah,
trying
Mayor Bridge,
to accommodate something that.
When you really look at it, the ambulance didn't get out of the shop because we couldn't open the door because, and I'm sure there's chains on it, but it's a time thing as well.
Yeah, they used the chains last time, and it just takes some time to open them up. So
We're talking minutes, could be the difference of I don't want to be on the other end of the minutes.
But it's really, it's a good idea to tie in
Water tower.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah.
You do that, that's important. Anyways. Motion to accept recommendation. Councilor Turton. Councilor Dirksen, they're all in favor. Carried. Okay. And now,
Monster trucks. Very
oh,
good.
Judy has to leave us for a minute here.
Mayor Bridge, we had a proposal to lease land in the industrial park behind Stones and More for monster truck rides. Must say you don't get that kind of request every day, but it is an interesting proposal, and I believe the gentleman has acquired the vehicle and was in some of the parades around our community. So the area he would like to use is lots 5, 6, 7, and 8. Well, those lots don't actually exist, but basically the sort of northwest half of this property. Right now it's unserviced industrial land. We're going through our Class EA on it, and the proposal that he's interested in pursuing is a 5-year lease with, I believe it was a 3-year review after 2 years if we had an industrial purchaser. So you'd have at least 2 years on that property unfettered by any future purchaser. So we've drafted up a lease for him to review, include $5 million in liability, annual rent of $200 per acre, a site plan to come to address some of those issues about traffic circulation and so forth. The other issue that's a big one is zoning. You can see the zoning map there. The property is zoned industrial and it's in a holding zone. We had brought that to his attention, and we did get confirmation yesterday from the county that they believe a temporary rezoning to allow that use would be in order. So I've advised the lessee that that's a requirement of the county. So we'll have to enter into that process. What that will do would allow the public to have some input into whether this zoning is appropriate or not. The monster truck doesn't move like monster trucks you see in some of those shows, so we don't believe it's going to be a dangerous thing for the people who would be riding on it, obviously. But he would have $5 million in liability and would name us as an additional insured. So from our perspective, we don't foresee a huge risk or exposure to the municipality. The jumps or the improvements he would make to the land are fairly moderate, so they're not going to be going over huge jumps and that sort of thing. It's just more changes in grade, and he would be responsible for all those things, including restoring the land if need be after. So we're recommending that you consider a bylaw to allow the mayor and clerk to sign the lease once the Marquarts have signed it and the zoning is confirmed.
Questions? Councilor Caldwell.
The land is being rented now? No?
Mayor Bridge, what happens right now is we have an agreement with Scott Dirksen to use the 55 acres, which are beside this. And when our EA got delayed and we didn't have development opportunities for this piece of land, I agreed that he could extend his operation onto that because that way we didn't have to maintain it.
Okay,
So it is used, but it's not under agreement. So if we want to lease it to someone else, we're not affecting the agricultural lease we have.
Yeah. Okay. Any questions?
Yeah, thanks, Mayor Bridge. So it does cover noise, vibration, and I think likely that will be a big issue
If there is.
if there is. Yeah.
And we've got an agreement I see there that we can roll that.
Yeah, I think it's good. I mean, it's things like this that have really taken the town of Minto ahead of other municipalities because we have a bit of an open mind when it comes to stuff like this. And I mean, this could be something fairly big for Mr. Marquette. So I mean, I support this.
I think he's hoping to get some people to stop at his site and either go into his landscaping area and with his garden center and or his food establishment. So,
We would likely have a monster truck for sale if we say no.
so yeah, did you want to pick?
Already advertised.
You thinking of picking that up, Dave, or what?
Sounds like
All right. Any other? Yes.
Just one quick question. Has anyone seen it operate to know
Yeah, it was in the
noise?
parades.
I know it was in the parades, but I mean operate as a monster truck. You see noise or anything?
Was it at the fall fair?
Not noisy at all.
Oh.
Okay.
I didn't see it.
No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't at this year's fall fair. He didn't have it until the parades. Just
Oh, okay.
before the parades. I just heard it in the parade. I didn't think it was that loud, but I've heard louder street trucks. To be honest with you.
We could hear George's hat over it.
Yeah, yeah.
Did
That's
that
right.
one.
My hat. You can hear my hat in the parade. No, and I guess if it is loud and is, I think Councillor Turton said it's covered in the agreement that we can go out and say put a muffler on it, or if he's got it too loud, and it's only supposed to go 15 miles an hour.
I think you should be, I nominate you to be the first rider on the new track.
Well, I think we
And
should
could
maybe
drive in the back.
maybe we should
part
have
of
it
the
that
parade.
we have to be in all the parades with it or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. Mike.
There you go.
There you go. Anyways, okay. Any other discussion? Motion to accept. Councillor Anderson, Deputy Mayor Faulkner, all in favor? Okay. Go. First town with a monster truck and a theater. Good Lord, we're the firsts of everything.
We want our logo on it.
Oh, and I'll turn this over to our Treasury Chair, our Finance Chair.
Invite Judy back in.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Here comes Jude.
Come on down, Judy.
On down, Jude.
Hey, the excuse me.
He
Finance
only
committee-
made one recommendation there. He has to have a plow behind it to do the.
To stabilize it. Okay.
Finance Committee has 3 items on the agenda tonight, and I'll ask Treasurer Duff to begin with the Palmerston Trailer Park rents.
Okay, thanks, Chair Caldwell. We've looked at, as you know, we increase taxes every year, and we haven't increased the rents on these trailers for a long time. I know we brought it through a previous council, and the decision was to keep things as they were. But we thought we'd try this again. The dollars involved are very small. And I know in previous research, we do not have total freedom to set these rates. Once that they are set, we're governed by the Residential Tenancy Act. And so our maximum increase for 2016 that we can put through is 2%. So that will generate another $608 next year. But that's why I'm putting in part of the agreement to maybe, if you go for this, pass it now, and we'll do it every year.
Thank you.
Whatever that rate is, then we don't have to revisit it all the time. I'm sure it's going to be probably less than inflation because these tribunal rates are quite modest, but it would at least generate a bit. And they also pay water and sewer, so that's other.
Through you, Mayor Bridge, this is.
Chairs over here.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
I got ripped off of my.
Oh,
Oh, that's right.
It's a
you
fire
did.
chair.
I didn't mean that personally. But that's
3 times I'm told. 3 times I'm told.
I'm in total agreement. But I think that should be in the recommendation, Chair Caldwell, that we revisit that yearly.
Well, it's,
No, that we
I-
don't
I-
Do
revisit
it
it.
automatically.
it's automatic.
That's what I put in there.
Automatic, yeah, that's right. Yeah, we can revisit. Yeah.
Is there any additional questions? Then the recommendation is the council receives and approves the report dated December 9th, 2015 from the treasurer and approves a 2% rate increase for Palmerston Trailer Park sites effective April 2016 and a further increase on January 1st of each year thereafter at the maximum allowable under the Residential Tenancy Act 2006. Would someone make that motion? Councillor Anderson, seconded by Mayor Bridge. All in favor? And the motion is passed. And the second item is in regard to the Clifford Medical Center lease renewals.
Okay, so just as background, again, that's a county-owned building. The town of Minto rents from the county, and in turn we rent to the family health team. and it used to be 3 doctors. They're down to 1 doctor now. I discussed with the administrator of the family health team, and I proposed a modest, reasonable increase. However, due to provincial funding cuts and things like that, they were not prepared to support such an increase this term. So I'm bringing forth a 0% increase here. I can't argue really from a financial point of view. I've kind of got to use the economic development, the social services, that it's providing a good service, and we certainly like to keep them there. Again, our costs keep increasing, but that is kind of the basis that we've I wouldn't say negotiated, but that's what we presented. So again, I've looked in the previous history. I guess that goes back to 2006 now. Some years we do a reconciliation with the county, so some years we've been modestly ahead and some years a little behind. So I think it'll still remain relatively a break-even project. Again, we don't own the building, so it's a bit like what the mayor was saying in the other instance, that the county is ultimately responsible for like a new roof or things like that. It's more the day-to-day expenses that we do.
I just want to add that I agree with you 100% that this is, it's a wonderful opportunity for Clifford to have this type of operation. And as long as the expenses are not, we do support and other operations within our township. Yes, Councillor Anderson.
2 questions. One is, what is the likelihood of them moving if you were to increase the rents? Not a substantial amount. And secondly, if you don't increase the rent, then you run into the same situation. When you don't increase, then you're going to pay back for years.
That's right.
You don't want to see it gone. Certainly, it's an asset to the town of Clifford to have it there, but is it likely that it will flood? I mean, it has other renters besides the physician, correct, or not? I don't know who else.
No, it's
There's a
just the
nurse
family
practitioner?
health. See, the family health team covers nurse practitioners, social workers, nutritionists,
Dietitians,
everything.
everybody.
Yeah, and then 1 doctor.
Right.
The doctor is a very modest amount.
Right.
$75. So I'm not aware of anyone agitating to get in there or them looking for another location. But can't answer that.
Yes, Councillor Turton.
Thank you, Chair Cole. I doubt if there's room in there for anybody else to go in.
Oh, no, not if
No.
they stayed.
No, they certainly take it up. And I mean, I've seen this thing happen back in 2006, and the number of comments that the council heard from the town of Clifford, the village of Clifford, in reference to the health team being up there. And they used to have a doctor. The doctor left or retired, whatever. Now they have a doctor, and it's a busy little place.
And I could imagine it being partnered with the new Minto Rural Health Center too, and possibly even more services. So.
Yes, Deputy Mayor.
That's okay. My question got answered. Thank you.
Mayor Bridge.
And I guess what we want to look at, and one of the 2 things, and I think Gord's talked about as treasurer, one of the things that makes me less concerned here is the fact that the majority of the repairs and maintenance are county issue, and the county's kept the rents the same. I believe they haven't moved them up.
They haven't.
No. So that's the good news. And secondly, like, Clifford's starting to boom. Like, and if one of the big selling factors, especially if we get people to move into Clifford, is the fact that we got the library, we got a health center, we've got recreation, we've got the things that you need to make that a progressive town still. So I hate to lose it. I wonder. I'm kind of with you, Councillor Anderson. I'm not sure whether this is. I don't think it's a ploy. I think we've always had a good working relationship with them. And there's times when they've actually worked it through the budget through the side door. They weren't allowed any increases, but they did it through another way. So I think we have to play ball a little bit and whatnot. So I think it's one of those things we should be looking at possibly subsidizing a little bit down the road. But I don't think we need to it yet. But it might get there.
It's a possibility. I can't say it won't be.
Councillor Dirksen.
Thanks. Through you, Chair Caldwell. This would come up again though next year.
No.
You're saying it's solid for. You're saying it's solid for the whole term.
That's right.
And it's a 5-year. How long?
That's what I've got here. Was the same as the last one.
Like, it just seems to me that then the risk is entirely on us, because right now we're almost kind of moderately making
We
it
could
even,
always
break
change the
even.
term too.
Well, that's what I was wondering, if maybe we should be looking at it like maybe yearly, if we're not going to, like, if we're going to make it a 0%, then I think we should maybe look at it yearly rather than locking it in for 5.
I agree with you.
I would,
you like
I
it.
would concur with that.
That, you know, it might be a consideration that we could even speak to them about that. We will do it for this year, but we will revisit it on an annual basis. Yes.
If I may, I think it's the issue of rent that you want to revisit. So we could have the same agreement for 5 years with a clause that said we would revisit the rent annually. So
Sure.
essentially they're signed
like
up for
that.
5.
That's a good point, Bill.
And then
And you
the
got
county
lock.
puts a big increase or whatever, we'll go back and talk to them.
Now, is it necessary for a motion to that effect?
I think
Or
that you
is-
would need to add that to the recommendation. You just add that there be a option to renew the rental amount annually in the 5-year lease.
Okay, so the recommendation is the council receives and approves the report dated December 9th, 2015 from the treasurer regarding Clifford Medical Center lease renewal and consider a bylaw in open council. So the addition would be to the bylaw, am I correct?
Bylaw, if I may, through you, Madam Chair, sorry, is just to sign the agreement. So we don't need to change the bylaw. We would change the agreement.
Okay.
So before the mayor and I signed, we'd make sure that
So then
clause
we
was
will
in there.
add to the recommendation that the rent will be revisited on an annual basis.
Yeah.
May I have someone make that motion? Councillor Turton, seconded by Councillor Dirksen, all in favor? Against? And the motion is passed. And the final item is our approval of accounts.
Sure. Again, it's one of those cases where we have a large number and it's dominated by a couple of things. In the admin department, 570,000 of that are the payments to the school boards and county development charges. That's our biggest thing there. And in public works, again, you've probably seen a lot of activity over the fall, and the bills come in now. So we have about $375,000 of paving and reconstruction and all that in all the 3 towns. And a bit more work on flushing and camera work on the sewers and those kind of things. So again, we're probably going to get a few more progress payments in the next few weeks. So basically the construction season's done and the bills are coming in. So.
Yes, Councillor Dirksen.
I was just going to make the comment, the snow budget has got
We
to
like
be
that.
kind of
Yes.
good thing.
December 15th.
Yeah, we're halfway through the month, so.
Yeah.
Be under budget now.
Are there any other comments or questions? Then the recommendation is the council of the town of Minto receives the treasurer's report dated December 8th, 2015 regarding approval of accounts and approves the town of Minto accounts by department for October, November, December 2015. Would someone make that motion? Councillor Anderson, seconded by Deputy Mayor Faulkner. All in favor? And the motion is passed. Thank you, Treasurer Duff, and I turn the chair back to Mayor Bridge.
Very good. And I'd like to welcome our Public Works Director and our newest. Oh, sorry, I have to turn it over to. Well, you know what? Okay, just relax. I was just going to turn it over. I was welcoming them first. Can I do that?
Okay.
And then I'm turning them
That's
over.
something
You just
new.
don't. You just. Yeah, I know. I'm just changing it up. Anyways, I was just going to make a comment that Todd looks very professional tonight.
Yes, I didn't even recognize him.
And when he came across the parking lot, I didn't know who it was because I didn't see him in his orange and stuff.
Daryl
But,
Jr.
yeah. Anyways, now I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Mayor Bridge. Our compliance coordinator, Todd, had a couple of choices to which meeting he wanted to go to tonight, and he chose to be here with our director, Brian. But welcome, Todd. And I'm sure everybody is aware that Todd will be taking over for Daryl. He's been working quite diligently, and I know that our current coordinator, Daryl, has a lot of faith in this young man, Todd. He spoke very highly of you at every meeting he's at, and look forward to you taking over for him. And we'll wish Daryl happy retirement. But today we want to talk about the DWQMS management review that we have had. So go ahead.
Right. Thanks, Councillor Turton. So we completed our management review, our annual review, November 26th this year. Just a little background on the management review. It's an MOE requirement related to our drinking water quality management standard, specifically element 20. What we do is pull the management team together and we review everything in the past 12 months that's went on in the water system. It's a requirement that it does happen every 12 months. We identify any deficiencies or action items that may have arose over the past year, and then we assign those and put timelines with them, follow-ups, and definitely we want to drive continuous improvement. As part of the requirement, we are required to report to the owner, which is you guys, and so the report covers you guys as part of the Safe Drinking Water Act and the Standard of Care. It makes you aware of everything that's going on in the system. Just some highlights from the review that we did here that I'd like to bring to your attention. First of all, frozen water lines was obviously a hot topic in the review. So in page 7 of the review, there's just when you're looking at the report, just so everybody knows, anything in blue is things that were discussed at the review. So when you're reading through it, but just the portion here. We're looking at, in the future, we're going to develop a communication protocol, a form of notification to homeowners prior to the cold weather season as the expectations from us as the town and from the homeowner. Also some kind of notice the homeowners on temporary water as to what the requirements and expectations are of them. And this is going to be developed and ready. Hopefully we don't run into it again, but we're going to have this ready for when we do get into that kind of weather again. The main reason for that is we did have a lot of recall outs to areas because people weren't getting exactly what they had to do. So if we have a handout that we can give them and everybody gets the same information, we're in good shape. Also, properties approved to run water to prevent freezing and properties that freeze and are supplied by a neighbor will be billed based on the property's average bi-monthly consumption. So this is going to include the person that's on the temporary water as well as the person supplying water, just so that everybody's on the same page. A few of the other challenges that were highlighted from the past 12 months were increased demands on staff. Some of it was a result of the frozen lines, the season that we had. Also meters. Lots of learnings with meters and explaining different things to people, and just there's a lot of legwork involved. A real big one that's important to highlight is now that we're live with one call, and this will be the first full year that we've done that. That's for our locates. The year previous to joining up with one call, we had 145 locates for the entire year. Up to this report on November 26th, we're at 481. So that's a huge increase and a huge demand on the guys. It takes a lot of time to do that number of locates. And also to note under that is the taking over the wastewater. Of course, all the duties that are associated with that, the cross training that goes along with it. And just as a side note, we had Mark sit in on this management review just because every indication is that QMS is going to be the future in wastewater too, so we're kind of getting ready for that. Some of the positives that were highlighted in the review were our MOE inspections for all the systems last year were 100%. And I just want to bring up last year's review. We had the vac trailer in the financial considerations. We obviously got that, and it has been a really great asset to the department, and not just our department, but it's being used. We use it a lot for valves locating on job sites, but the wastewater department's using it a lot for screen cleaning and channel cleaning, and the public works department has been using it for sign installs. We've even done some cremation burials, leaf cleanup, but every day we're finding new uses for it. So it's been great. It's been great. Yeah.
Thank council.
Yeah. Thanks. Those are the highlights. Again, if you go through the report and any questions you have, if you have any questions now and I can answer them, I will. But
Sure. Thanks, Todd. Go ahead. Question?
Well, just one on the locates. Are we seeing more locates because of more activity, or do you think a lot of people didn't bother getting a locate because it was a bit of a pain? Now they just call one place and get it.
Yeah, it's a combination of all that, and now you call one, you get water, sewer, everything what you needed. Everybody was always, I think, afraid of the hydro and the gas, right?
Okay, right.
Now it doesn't matter what you're doing, you call, you get that locate. So there's a lot of locates I think that we would have never seen before because our utilities wouldn't have been at risk that we're seeing now, and we're still required to go out and perform that locate, right?
And that ties up our staff more and more and more. So
And
it's,
just one other
Yeah, go
question.
ahead, Rich.
On the frozen water things, I was asked the other day. I think the person was in the Palmerston Trailer Park. Now, I don't think they ever got noticed before, but they just figured that they're in the trailer park that they're at risk, so they just had their water run. And they had moved there a couple years ago. So maybe we want to get it out to the public that if they should call us and find out if they're at risk, because some of them won't know and they'll just think, well, I don't want it frozen, so I'll run it. But so somehow we get that out to the public through our social media or whatever. Is there a plan in place for that?
there's a letter drafted up today that will be handed out to
To all our water users?
Yep.
Okay.
I was going to say, is it go in the water bills? I find that that's where people would read it if it was
Yeah.
included in their water bill.
and it's part of it, yeah.
Good.
But we have a handout too for like the ones we know, the trailer parks and stuff, but they'll be getting a handout before
Other-
Christmas.
Other questions? I think when you look at the water consumption from 2008 to now, it's pretty amazing where it's been and where we're at. I mean, you look at Harrison and Palmerston. I mean, Palmerston is 2,600, Harrison's 2,100, and we're using more water being used in Harrison than in Palmerston. Whether it's good or bad, I don't know.
It's a draw.
Councillor
So-
Turton,
Sorry.
would that use be because of the industry in Harrison versus the industry?
Any thoughts on that, Todd?
Farm Fresh?
They're,
They use a lot of
yeah,
water.
they're definitely a large water consumer.
Minto.
Not as much, so, right?
Not
No,
to
they
the extent that
recycle a lot of their water.
Oh, okay.
Just through you, Chair.
Go ahead.
The one thing that I jumped out at me in water consumption was 2012 in Clifford, 168 down to 70. And I'm wondering whether part of that would be we moved a lot of water lines over the years, right?
Off the old system.
Off the old
onto
system,
new system.
and just that's the difference. Maybe we had a lot of
And people in
leakage.
Clifford are really conservative.
Well, obviously, but that's a big drop. That's like
Led by Brian.
that's a lot of drop.
I think
Go-
part of the problem there possibly was the water quality wasn't that great a number of years ago, and we had a lot of bleeders. We were always bleeding.
Oh, no, good point. Good
Blowing
point.
the
Yeah.
water.
Yep.
We
on the
did used
street.
to flush mains a lot more
All the
frequent
time up there.
too. Yeah.
Okay.
Because from 2012 to 13, it was almost cut in half.
Yeah.
Now that we do have going ahead, now that we have the meters in place, we'll be able to do more of that kind of math, right? We know what we're putting out, and we'll be able to see where it's going.
Any other questions? Hearing none, the recommendation is that the council receives the compliance coordinator's November 26, 2015 report regarding DWQMS management review, and all members of council review, approve, and endorse the report. We have a mover and a seconder, Deputy Mayor Faulkner, Councillor Anderson. All in favor of that motion? That's carried. So if you guys don't mind, are we going to get an opportunity to, sure we acknowledge Daryl's commitment at the Christmas party? Everybody knows he's retiring, but maybe we should. Maybe Friday night you're going to be doing something for him, right? Or is he still away in Holland?
No, he's on holidays.
Holidays.
He won't be there for the Friday night. Hopefully,
Sure.
all of you will be.
I'll be in Toronto. Sorry.
Sure, Daryl understands and
Unless
knows.
I might be back in time.
Could be. He might be. But Daryl was a huge part, as well as Gordon and some of the other folks in this DWQMS when it first started. I mean, we didn't know where we were going, and it came along very, very nicely. And I'm sure, Todd, you'll be a great replacement for Daryl. So thank you very much. And Jackie, I should mention Jackie too. So I'll pass the chair back to our mayor.
I thought we were just delaying because I didn't get to it right away.
I'm usually pretty quick at that.
I know. You're usually quicker than that. But I figured you were just getting back at me. That's all right. Good job, Todd. Well done.
Very well done.
All right. Where are we? Other business disclose additional items. Hey, anybody got anything? Oh, start it.
Okay, I just wanted to announce, you can mark in your brand new calendars you got tonight. The annual general meeting for the Chamber of Commerce is Monday, February the 1st at 7 p.m. And I'm sorry, I don't remember where.
January the what?
February 1st.
February 1st.
I will notify you at the next meeting where it is, but if you want to mark it in your calendar.
Florida.
Florida.
Yes,
On
yes.
posting. On posting. Just after we get your way down there. No
And I
problem.
just want to obviously take this opportunity to wish all the staff, the council, and everyone listening to a very Merry Christmas and all the best in 2016. And I hope we sing again.
Oh gosh, no! There was a bad report. There's a bad review on our site.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I heard that.
Who'd you get that from?
Who'd you?
Does that matter?
Was your mother?
No, my mother didn't actually hear that one because it was Eastlink, right? I know we know. Go ahead.
Thank you, Maverick. Likewise, on behalf of my wife and my family, I would like to wish everybody a very Merry Christmas and all the best in 2000.
Thank you. And as everybody realizes, 2016 is going to be an incredibly busy year. And but because of the IPM 2016, I just thought I'd get that in there. And most importantly, 2015 has been a pretty tough year in respect to some health, not personally, but close friends and family, and so I'd like to wish all of council, all staff, a Merry Christmas and a healthy 2016, and please pass on to the staff, CAO White, how much we appreciate their efforts.
And I too would like to wish everyone, all of fellow council members, and all of our wonderful staff and our residents of Minto a very Merry Christmas and a happy, healthy, and prosperous 2016.
Well, I'll just reiterate the same wishes. I brought treats in though, but Annalene beat everybody off them so far for tonight.
Oh, right.
If not, we'll leave it for staff for tomorrow. And our sincere appreciation to staff as a newcomer. Everybody's assistance has been invaluable, and as you know, we've had some challenges to face this year as well, and we have beaten those odds according to the medical report. So,
Good for you.
and we wish everybody a happy and healthy 2016.
Sorry, I have to add. And
No, you can't
there's
add.
also treats. I also brought some treats.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Well, and I'll just finalize it up, and I just want to say it's been a pleasure this year. I think for a new council, I've really enjoyed it. All your participation, and I think we've got a lot of things done for the town, and hopefully Bill will write up a big report like he always does, and with all the things we've done, and when we start our January out, and all the accomplishments that the staff and this council have done over the last year. Appreciate the press coming out as usual, even though I'm trying to get you out of here before 9 o'clock because there's issues, but we want to get to. But no, it's great to have the press here, and I appreciate the fact that you get our message out there. And I know we're televised and everything else, but people love seeing it in print too. And I hear lots of things. Like so many people tell me I'm on the radio all the time, scary stuff, but it's all good. And I just wish everybody a happy and healthy Christmas, and enjoy your family. If you get a chance to be with them, I'm going to have my opportunity to have all my family home, and that's kind of neat to have. And today's world, everybody gets spread around, so appreciate everything that's been going on. And Bill, tell the staff, they're not that all of them here tonight. Some of them were here earlier, and appreciate all their help and energy throughout the year. Looking forward to a great 2016. And by the way, the sign's a little bit nondescript out there for the IPM. I just drove by it on my way back. Well,
It's kind of blank.
you would never know what was there.
I can answer that. We want to do it right this time.
Well, you got the boards up, but I mean, it's big.
And you'll see, if you drive past it this weekend, you'll see
Oh,
a
okay.
huge
All right.
difference.
Oh, okay. He's on record this weekend. We're gonna see
It's
it.
like 8 sheets of 4x8 plywood right now.
Yeah, right now that's what it is. Anyways, it's all good.
Nice and vague anyway.
Yes, it
Anyways,
is.
that's it for
It's
that.
nice. It's great.
And motion to return. Yeah. Moved by Council Anderson, second by Council Dirksen. The committee of the whole convenes into regular council meeting. All in favor? Carried. Moved by Councilor Dirksen, second by Deputy Mayor Faulkner. The Council of the Town of Minto ratifies the motions made in the committee of the whole. All in favor? Oh my goodness, this is a long one. Moved by Councilor Turton, second by Councilor Anderson. Whereas the Ministry of Environment Safe Drinking Water Act is regulated a municipal drinking water license program, and whereas the municipal drinking water license program is required of Justice O'Connor's Part 2 of the Walking Inquiry Report, and whereas the certificate of approval which the town of Minto's water system now operates under will be eliminated, and upon accreditation will be operated under the municipal drinking water license. And whereas the corporation of the town of Minto developed a drinking water quality management standard for its municipal water systems as first endorsed on May 9, 2007 by Resolution 193-07. And therefore, it be resolved the Council of the Corporation, the Town of Minto publicly state that their commitment to the drinking water quality management standard, and further that the Council of the Corporation of Town of Minto acknowledges the Town of Minto Compliance Coordinator as a very capable and qualified employee and is appointed to the position that will ensure the drinking water quality management system procedures are followed. In favor?
Pardon?
We
Did you repeat that?
It's almost like the speech from the throne there or whatever.
Oh, no. It was much longer than
It's longer than that.
Out of chair, jail, your worship.
Oh, goodness, that's a long one. Moved by Councilor Caldwell, second by Councilor Dirksen, bylaw number 2015-99 to authorize the mayor and the CEO clerk sign a lease agreement for the town-owned property to Troy Jonathan Horton and Shannon Ashley
Quinnell.
132 Miller Crescent, Palmerston, be introduced, read, and first, second, and third time passed open council, seal of the corporation. All in favor? Okay. Moved by Councilor Anderson, second by Councilor Turton, the bylaw number 2015-100 to amend zoning bylaw 0186 for part lots 11 and 12, 61R 2038-1, parts 2 and 3, with a municipal address of 506 Main Street, East Palmerston, be introduced and read in first, second, and third time and passed open to council and seal with seal of corporation. All in favor? Moved by Deputy Mayor Faulkner, second by Councilor Caldwell, bylaw number 2015-101 be authorized to authorize the mayor and the CEO clerk to sign an agreement for a local source water information management system be introduced, read first, second, and third time and passed open to council. Seal of the corporation. All in favor? Moved by Councilor Turton, second by Councilor Dirksen, bylaw number 2015-102 to authorize the mayor and CEO clerk sign a site plan agreement with H&H Gill Brothers to permit a 6-unit apartment building at 439 Main Street East, Palmerston, be introduced and read in first, second, and third time. Passed open council, seal of the corporation. All in favor? Carried. Moved by Councilor Dirksen, second by Deputy Mayor Faulkner, that the bylaw number 2015-103 to authorize the mayor and clerk to sign a lease agreement at 7 Brown Street, North Clifford, with Dr. Tanya Norman, be introduced and read in first, second, and third time, and passed open council, seal of the corporation. All in favor? Okay. Moved by Councilor Anderson. Okay. Second by Councilor Dirksen. Bylaw number 2015-104 confirm the proceedings of the December 15, 2015 committee and council meeting be introduced, read first, second, third time, and passed open council. Seal. Yeah. What? Right? It's not. It doesn't say family health team. That's why I was wondering.
Because there's 2 different leases. One was for doctor.
Okay.
And then there's one.
I haven't got a doc. I only got that one so far. That's it, Bill.
Okay. We can add in the family health team.
You want to add the family health team on that? On this one, or the separate lease though?
Yeah, that's okay.
All right. Okay.
We'd need the movers and the seconders to
Councilor Durkin, Deputy Mayor Faulkner.
agree to that.
So approved. So we're just gonna put the health team in there?
You want to add? Sure.
Yeah,
Friendly
add it.
Just
amendment.
add
Sure.
the health team.
Sure. Friendly
All in
amendment.
favor of that? Friendly amendment. Okay, carry. I'll let you guys do it.
I was
Add
gonna
the health.
say, I was just
I mean,
waiting for
you'll
that.
read me. Fine. Where was I on this one?
At the end.
At the end. Okay. All right, all in favor? Oh, gee. And send that down to Councilor Anderson to sign. Thank you.
Yeah, you didn't say that.
Moved by Councilor Caldwell, second by Councilor Turton, that the council of the town of Minto adjourn to meet again at the call of the mayor. All in favor? Have a good holiday, everybody. Thanks very much.
Have a great holiday.
We're not singing.
Okay.
3-1.